Hey, Shooks. Welcome to a brand spanking new episode of the Melanin Mayhem podcast, hosted by your favorite country girl, Renee Davis. Oh, baby, if today is your first time joining us in the Mayhem, welcome. Baby, let me tell you what you've gotten yourself into for today. You see, your hostess with the mostest, I bring you the story every Wednesday of some of the most heinous, I'm talking diabolical and downright audacious crimes committed by some melanated baddies that you may or may not have ever heard of. But that's okay, because that's what I'm here for, darling. Honey, to bring you these stories, to dispel this myth that there are certain types of crimes that black people don't commit, because baby, we do it all, been doing it all, and will continue to do it all. So I am here to make sure you know we out here doing it all. So go on ahead and settle in, because baby, it's going to be a bumpy ride. And now it is time for me to talk to my babies. Hey, New Orleans Nation, what's happening, crime cousins? Oh, my Lord, I have missed y'all so much. I swear it takes so long for a week to come around. Ooh, honey, what we gonna do? What us gonna do? Let's see, what do we have today? Church announcements. I don't know. It's pretty quiet on the home front. Your girl is trying to do some things. You know, the weather is not cooperating in Georgia. When I got to do some outdoor activities, it is going to rain every day for the rest of the week. Lord have mercy. Y'all pray for the country girl. You know, we have the usual. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for on your favorite streaming service. Extra points if you do it on Spotify, because y'all know the Spotify mafia be after me something serious. Don't forget also to subscribe to the Melanin Mayhem original story series, because it's going down over there. We just started a new installment, and Ending A just dropped this past week. What else do we have? The website, of course, melaninmayhempodcast.com, for all your merch needs, as well as your copy of the e-guide From Case to Compelling, for those of you who have a story inside of you and you've got questions. Other than that, I don't think that there's much going on. I'm still trying to figure out my life as far as what we're going to do for the fall, I guess this would be. Whether we're going to do something online or whether we're going to do something in person, I don't know. I'm so confused, New Orleans Nation. Please help the country girl out. I guess it'll come to you. All things come to you when they're supposed to. I'm so impatient sometimes. I'm trying to get better. Again, pray for your girl. But other than that, I think that is all that we have this week for church announcements. I want to go on ahead and get into this story. I know I always say this. You ain't gonna believe what I'm gonna tell you today. And every time it be some bullshit. But today, baby, when I say I got some bullshit for y'all, I mean I got some fuckery and foolishness and shenanigery of the highest level. This was a story that I was gonna do on Love Kills, when I was doing Love Kills, but I never got around to it. But it was so heinous that it actually rises to the occasion for a Melanin Mayhem joint. So, baby, the Melanin Mayhem maker that I am going to tell y'all about today, he is credited with having one of the worst mass killings in Northeast Pennsylvania, almost in the state history. I mean, he is right up there in the mix of having one of the deadliest mass spree killings in that state's history. I mean, this trifling bastard, he is like the OG for the motherfuckers that's doing it today. Oh, honey, if I told you that this motherfucker had killed 13 people in the span of a couple of hours, your flabbers would probably be gasted. Well, baby, go ahead and get a good grip on your pearls, because that's exactly what we about to talk about today. And when you hear who was unalived in this tragic story, all you're going to be able to say is, Lord have mercy. So, baby, without further ado, New Orleans Nation, let us go on ahead and drag this trifling motherfucker to the front of the congregation so we can drag his ass properly for the shenanigree we about to get into. This week's Melanin Mayhem maker, his name is George Emil Banks. All right, New Orleans Nation, let's go on ahead and get to the reason for the streaming. George Emil Banks was born June 22nd, 1942. His mama, her name was Mary Yellen, and she was of the Caucasic mountain peoples. And his daddy, his name was John Mack, and he was blackety black. You know, that means that was down with the swirl in 1942. That means George was biracial in 1942. And in 1942, y'all know they was not feeling that shit. They weren't even able to get married. So I am not for certain whether or not John and Mary had a thing, if he was around. I know they couldn't get married because the law hadn't been passed yet. That wouldn't happen until 1967 when interracial marriage got approved basically by the government. So to say that George had a hard road to hoe, he said growing up biracial in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and we're talking about an area that was 99% white and less than 1% black. You already know what that is. Now, George, he could pass the paper bag test, but he couldn't pass for Caucasistical. Not at all. And he said that the shit was fucked up, and I believe it. Like, a biracial kid coming up in the 40s and 50s and 60s when there wasn't a box to check for biracial. You know, back then, it was white or you black, and you definitely not white, little nigga. You know what I'm saying? And they made sure that he knew that he was black, according to him, and I believe it. Now, George would go on and go into the army as a teenager. He didn't stay long. He got out when he was 19. Again, this is the 50s, so, you know, things were different back then. When he got out of the army, George fell in with the wrong crowd. Let's say that. He went to prison in 1961 for attempted robbery. Tried to rob a bar in Scranton. Some of his buddies and him had cooked up an idea and shit went left and they end up shooting the owner. Stop it. 6 to 15. That's the sentence that they gave George. Now, George went off to prison, but he didn't want to be there. So he tried to go AWOL in 1964. But that shit didn't work. You know, remember, we have talked about cases of people back then who used to break out of prison all the time. Well, George, it didn't work for him. He ended up getting paroled in 1969. So what is that? He did almost 8 years. And then he would go on to have his sentence commuted by the then governor, Milton Shapp, in 1974. What the commutation was for, I don't know, because George did that shit. And that man got shot. And I don't know. But whatever, however, this shit went down the way it went down. Now, as soon as George got out the piece, he married a little chocolate kiss named Doris. That happened on August 23rd, 1969. That nigga was fresh up out the joint. Okay, and they had 2 little baby girls. And for whatever reason, you know, shit didn't work out between George and Doris. They would end up getting divorced in 1976. And I am thinking off the top of my head that the reason for the divorce was either irreconcilable differences or infidelity, because we about to find out some shit about George. When he and Doris ended up getting divorced in 1976, that would be the last relationship that George had with a black woman for the rest of his life. From then on, it was Snow Bunny City, baby. And I mean, first and foremost, I just told you what the racial makeup was up there. It was 99% white and less than 1% black. So that's not out of the ordinary, I would say, for the time. If you wanted to have a mate, I'm sure it wasn't a lot of black people to choose from. Maybe it wasn't a lot of single young black women to choose from. Maybe Doris was the last one, or maybe George wanted to get in touch with the other side of him. I don't know. All I know is, and this was clearly stated in everything that I read about him, was after he got through with his relationship with Doris, that was the last time he was with a black woman. And after I tell you about the shit that went down, it makes sense. But here's the thing. I personally believe that the reason he stopped dating black women was because he wanted a harem. And he knew that the chances of finding a black woman in the 70s that would be down for that poly lifestyle was slim to fucking none. And let me tell you something. I on this case, I was doing math, and that nigga, he left Doris, and then he jumped into some hoe shit with both feet. And let's just say that he was spreading that baby batter around, and ooh, child, baby, he was fucking with chicks left, right, and sideways, and making babies. So it all started, him and this woman named Sharon Mazzillo. They hook up and they kicking it for a few years. And I don't know, from what I can tell, it seems as though she was kind of like the main old lady, you know, his bottom bitch or whatever you want to call it, because this was definitely some harem type shit. Because while he was fucking around with Sharon, he was also kicking it with a chick named Regina. Now, him and Regina, they have a baby before Sharon has a baby with George. But wait, there's more. This trifling ass nigga, he started fucking around with Regina's sister, Susan. Now, I don't know how or what, but there is another chick that's at Regina and Susan's house. Her name is Dorothy. And damn if Judge Community Penis ass don't get with her too and knock her up as well. So I know you confused. So let me go on ahead and run down the statisticals on this throuple. No, this ain't a throuple because that would be 3. This is more like a 5-point star. What is that? They were probably down up in that piece. Okay, so from the top, we know he had 2 daughters with Melanin Magic, his ex-wife, and that was prior to 1976 because in 1976 is when they got the divorce. The kids were already here, right? The year he got his divorce, 1976, he had a daughter with Regina. In 1977, he had a son with Sharon. In 1978, he had a son with Susan. In 1980, he had a daughter with Susan. And then in 1981, he had a son with Dorothy. I have so many questions. So many questions. Y'all know how my mind goes. I mean, like, so was Regina, Susan, and Dorothy. They all lived together in one house. So what was he going from room to room? Like, cause they was pregnant at the same time at some point because he was popping them out damn near year by year. So, ooh, child. 1 man, 3 women, 4 kids, 5 kids. Almost at the same damn time. And then you also still got an ex-wife with 2 more kids. The math ain't mathin', but you know what? If they like it, I love it, baby. We listen and we don't judge yet. Because we going to be judging big time in just a minute, baby. Because Georgie Porgy pussy ass. Ugh. Just, Now, I don't know. Maybe at some point Sharon decided that she was not down with that poly shit. You know, I want you out to myself. And so they split up like for real, for real. I don't want you no more. We got a child together. We gonna co-parent and we gonna move on. No romantic shit. And this happened like sometime August, September of 1982 where she was just like done, right? And then word on the curb is that she took him to court. She wanted child support and I guess full custody, and George wanted to contest that, and it was just a whole big old mess, right? So he grabbed his shit from over there at Sharon house, and then he go stay full time over at the quadruple some house, over there with the three chicks, right? And now that I think about it, all of that shit had been going on all the while he was with Sharon. Like, ooh, it's one thing to know your man is cheating on you, but to know that he over there at that house cross town where it's 3 women and he going from room to room, ooh, that's some extra nasty nigga, dirty dick ass shit. Anyway, the child support of it all. The child support of it all. And speaking of support, this friendly dick ass nigga, he got him a little gig. He worked, right? And he got a job at the city. He actually, at this point in time, got a job working the 2 to 10 shift over at the State Correctional Institute as a tower guard. So yeah, this nigga is now a CO. He got this job February 14th, 1980. Now, I don't understand how in the hell, after he served damn near 8 years in prison, he's a convicted felon. How was he able to get a job with the state? Much less, how was he able to get a job at the prison? I guess that's the whole 1980 of it all. Man, ooh, Lord Jesus, we was wild back then. But Pennsylvania, they hired him as a convicted felon and put him in charge of the other felons, right? I guess an ex-felon at that time was okay to be in charge of the current felons because you ain't feloning no more, right? Okay, whatever. Now, I done told y'all all about the alternative lifestyle he was living. Now I need to tell y'all about how this nigga was several sandwiches short of a picnic. Baby, up at that job, they say this nigga was throwed off more than a little bit. If he wasn't threatening to kill people up at the prison, he was carrying on about how somebody was trying to poison him. And I don't understand, who the hell was he threatening to kill up at the prison? Was he threatening to kill the other inmates? The felons that this ex-felon was supposed to be guarding against, the one that's already shot somebody in his formative years, this dude, and he's talking about he finna kill somebody at the prison? Or is he talking about his fellow coworkers? Like, can we be more specific? Who does George want to kill? And he also think y'all trying to poison him? And don't nobody think that this is strange or suspect or whatever? Okay. But that wasn't all George was up there doing. They say he was always talking about the race war. He said, because of how fucked up his childhood was, coming up as a mixed race child, he was fixated on race and how his biracial kids were going to suffer in the race war and that he needed to do something to save them, right? Because when the shit go down, they gonna go first. But what I want to know, as I was reading this, well, what the fuck you mean by save them? How you gonna save your mixed race kids? If you wanted to save them, you could have had kids with a whole black woman, and then they wouldn't have been mixed, and then they wouldn't get caught up in the race war, right? I mean, why the fuck you go out and make 5 children if you so scared of the race war? I don't get it. If being mixed racially, biracial, has made your life hell, why the fuck would you turn around and continue this cycle knowingly? As triflingly as you are doing it. Like, what the fuck? Make this shit make sense. So do y'all understand how this nigga's cracker is cracked? Elevator ain't going nowhere near the top, because none of this makes sense, right? But this wasn't the worst of it, y'all. This all came to the head, kind of, sort of, on September 6th, 1982. This was the day where the cheese just slid off the cracker at this point, right? This dude go to his job. He go up in the guard tower with a motherfucking shotgun, talking about he ready to leave here. What? Nigga, what? You leave where? Go where? What? He locked himself in the tower. In the tower, y'all, with a gun, and started telling them how he was finna kill himself. He stayed up in that motherfucker for hours. Hours. Sir, you can't be acting like that. You do that shit at home if you want to keep your job in 1982. He finally came out hours later, but baby, that was just the pregame show. Because George he is about to crash out so motherfucking epically that he going in the history books. Okay. So after threatening to kill himself, George is strongly encouraged to take a little time and enjoy the view. Somewhere else other than up here at the job. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. Specifically, you got to go lay on somebody's sofa and talk to them before you can come back up to this piece. You got to take a test, and they got to tell us that you passed the test before we going to let you back up in this thing, right? And through today's lens, that's viewed as a good thing, right? You go get some help. We have, EAP at a lot of jobs where you can go talk to someone for free. So, again, looking at it through today's lens, this is awesome. This prison wants their worker to go and get mental help. That's perfect, right? And George did indeed go get some help. Now, this is 1982, not 2026. So the help ain't quite the same. You see, George, he went to go see a psychiatrist. It was a man. His name was Dr. George Drescher. Now, Dr. George, he sat and he counseled Crazy George. And a week later, 2 weeks after the event, he said that George was cleared for duty. Oh, really? Yeah, 2 weeks later, this motherfucker who was ready to take his own life, who talks about how the race war is coming, who wants to protect and save his children, he is cleared. He is cured, if you will, after 1, maybe 2 sessions with Dr. George. Dr. George signed paperwork. He's cleared to come back to work. Yeah. He got in Crazy George a plan of action, and they came up with this plan and, to get his elevator going back up to the top floor. And he gave him the seal, stamped off. It's signed, sealed, and delivered, baby. And, George, he absolutely came up with a plan. But, baby, it wasn't nothing nice. So just think about it. For like the first 3 weeks of September, this nigga is just spiraling. He's circling the drain, right? And then him and Sharon going through some shit with this little custody situation. And I'm thinking that this, not giving this nigga no excuses for nothing, but just timeline wise, this might have been a trigger or the spark that set the firework off for the shit we about to get into. Now, it all went straight to the pits of hell on September 25th. 1982. Everything I'm about to run down for y'all happened in the span of a couple of hours. Now, it actually started on September 24th, that night. Now, this is 19 days after that nigga pulled that stunt, where he was finna take himself out. This is 19 days later, after Dr. George say Crazy George ain't crazy no more. The night of the 24th, George is trying to find the bottom of a gin bottle. That motherfucking naughty head. I can't drink it. Baby, it made me act a fool. And apparently, it do George the same motherfucking way. They say gin make you sin. And he about to kick the dough in on the sinning of it all. So he at home drinking or whatever at the harem house, where the 3 ladies that he is impregnating on a regular basis live with their children, right? So he home and he's drinking and the gin is talking to him and telling him some crazy shit, right? And so it's getting late. It's getting late. And so at some point, as he's drinking that gin, George decided that today was the motherfucking day. This nigga gets up and he proceeded to go room to motherfucking room and shot everybody in that bitch. And we ain't talking handgun shooting. You know what I'm saying? Getting shot with anything is a tragedy, but we ain't talking about a handgun. Oh, no. This nigga is armed with a M16 and a AR-15. Now, this is the 80s. The AR-15 wasn't popular like it is today. That was some newfangled shit. What the fuck is this, nigga? This is that army shit. He still got service weapons. How the fuck did you just try to kill yourself and they still got you with these guns? But he got them. Y'all, Regina Clemens was 29 years old. Remember, that was one of the girlfriends. Regina and George had a daughter named Montezuma Banks, 1 year old. He shot that baby, killed her. Then the other girlfriend, her name was Susan Uhas. She was 23 years old. She was Regina's sister. Her and George had a son that was 4 years old. His name was Bowendy Banks. Killed him. Then there was their 20-month-old daughter, I think her name is pronounced Mauritania Banks. He killed this baby, 20 months old, with a AR motherfucking 15. That's a big-ass bullet. That bullet damn near big as a 20-month-old. But he wasn't done because his third girlfriend, remember this was a threesome, 29-year-old Dorothy Lyons, shot the shit out of her too. Now, Dorothy and George had Dorothy had an 11-year-old daughter that was not George's. She came into this relationship with a 11-year-old daughter. He killed this baby, 11 years old. And then the son that he and Dorothy had together was a 1-year-old baby, Faraday Banks. Killed his ass. How the fuck? Like, y'all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in one house. People that you go to sleep with, you wake up with, you change their diapers, you potty training them, they sitting on your lap, they doing all the things that children do. And you decided, after drinking some gin, to take their asses completely out the motherfucking game. And for what? But y'all, he wasn't through. Sure would. Baby, tell me why. After he massacred his family, this motherfucker walk out looking like Rambo, because mind you, he got this M16 and the AR-15. He walk out the door loaded. And this is public. I mean, there's people on the street. Baby, tell me why. 22-year-old Ray Hall, he heard something. Him and his friend, dude named James Olsen, he's also 22. I can't tell if they were walking down the street, Schoolhouse Lane, or if they were coming out of a house across the street from where all of this shit just went down, because I've read both instances. One, they were walking down the street. Another one, they were across the street at a house party. I don't know. The why is a little convoluted, but however, whatever. Ray and James end up on Schoolhouse Lane outside at the exact same time that George has come out the door after killing his entire family. George sees them. They see George with all these motherfucking guns. And baby, wrong place, wrong time. Because when George see their ass, he opened that thing up on them. And it was nasty. Baby, damn if Ray didn't fuck around and find out what the fuck the commotion was. George had just come out that house. Like, literally, the guns were still smoking. He unalived Ray right there on the spot. Boom, instantly. Now, James, he was able to get in the house that was across the street, but not without some unrequested lead in his ass. He thankfully had a praying grandmother. And even though he was fucked up, because again, the whole AR-15, M16 of it all, that he was fucked up, but he lived. George, on the other hand, he jumped in a car and hauled ass, because he is not through crashing out just yet. Okay, so George is in the car. He is armed with the M16 and the AR-15, and he has made the decision that he is going to war on his family. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning at this point. He is headed to the Heather Highlands Trailer Park in Jenkins Township. Now, I looked it up on the map, and from Wilkes-Barre, Barre. I don't know how you say that. I know y'all gonna get me, but Wilkes-Barre. It's about maybe 5 miles, 6 miles away. So we still in Pennsylvania. He just going right across town. You know what I'm saying? Okay. It's 2:00 in the morning. He goes to the trailer park because he got some more shit that he trying to get off his chest. Now, what happens next is horrible. He pulls up to the trailer park. He goes inside of the house, raising hell, talking about he want to see his son. Now, this is the house where his bottom bitch, the one that, I ain't gonna call that woman the bottom bitch. That's not what I meant to say. This is the house where his first main old lady after his divorce, Sharon. This is where Sharon stays, right? Sharon and her family. This is where they stay over here in the trailer park, right? So he busts up in there talking about how he want to see his son because, you know, they're going through the custody dispute. So at 2:00 in the morning, this is perfect time and I want to see my son right fucking now. And of course, Sharon is like, what you doing? You over here acting crazy. Now, mind you, Sharon is not in this house, trailer by herself. Sharon is in this trailer with her mama, her son that she shares with George, her nephew, as well as her mother had 2 sons. I told y'all this, we was at the trailer park. We'll talk about it. So it's 47-year-old Alice Mazzillo, that's Sharon's mama. Sharon Mazzillo, she's 24. Kismayu Banks, that is Sharon and George's son, he's 5. And Scott Mazzillo, that was George's son's cousin, he's Sharon's nephew. He's over to the house for a sleepover. He don't stay there. And then there's also Keith and Angelo Mazzillo. They're 12 and I think 10, and they are Alice's sons. Alice, which is Sharon's mama. So Alice got some children that's younger than Sharon. So Sharon got some brothers and sisters that's, you know how this shit go down. Anyway, so all of them are in the trailer at 2:00 in the morning trying to sleep when all of this shit goes down. So George has bust up in the trailer. Him and Sharon are going at it. Sharon gets him to come outside some kind of way, and then he shoots her right there on the steps of the trailer. Then he goes back in, and then he shoots his son right there on the sofa in the living room. His own son. 5 years old. Then he went and shot Alice, Sharon's mama. Then he shot Scott. Like, this nigga got bodies scattered all over the trailer. Right outside, in the hallway, in the bedroom, on the sofa. He shot Sharon in her heart. And he shot everybody else in the head. But wait, there's more. He did a little something extra for Sharon's mama, Miss Alice. And I'm going to say he must not have liked that little woman at all. Like, he couldn't have cared for her at all. Like, period. Because, baby, all of this tragic and sad and heinous and diabolical shit that I just told y'all he has done to this point, he decides to kick it up a notch. Some way, somehow, this disgustingly diabolical motherfucker took Miss Alice's head clean off her body. Yes, decapitated. How the fuck did he do that? Like, all they said is that he had the AR-15 and the M16. That's everything that I've read. That's all they talk about. Nobody said he was captured with a gun. I mean, with a knife. Where the fuck did he get something to cut Miss Alice's head off? Ooh, woo, 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 woo. That's some unrepressed. Just, I hate you so much right now. He cut that woman's head off, clean off. Gone. I don't. And then he just left. And it's crazy because he's talking shit the entire time. witnesses was talking about he was saying, I killed them motherfuckers, and I'm gonna kill them all. Like, just talking shit. You ain't trying to hide. You are loud and proud in the motherfucking trailer park. You know you can't fart in a trailer without everybody knowing what you ate today. Like, and it's crazy because I told you, Alice's sons, Keith and Angelo Mazzillo, they were in that trailer when all of this went down, but they hid. Thank God, some kind of way, by the grace of God, they hid. Keith hid in a back bedroom closet, and Angelo hid under the bed. And Keith said he saw all of it. From wherever he was able to see the entire trailer. And he saw it all. He saw George shoot Sharon. He saw him kill Kiss My You. He saw him do Miss Alice. He saw him do Scott. Just, can you say scarred for life? Those children are going to be scarred. That baby was hiding under the bed while somebody was getting murdered on top of it. And then he just walk out like it ain't nothing. So look, Keith and Angelo, they run out the trailer and they alert the adults, and the police are on their way. You know what I'm saying? But these children are shook. I mean, they in shock like a motherfucker, because they know George. They know that's Kiss My You's daddy. They know him. And they also know that if they hadn't hid and then got the hell out of Dodge, George would have sent their ass to the upper room too. So the police, they know who they're looking for, right? But apparently they don't know enough to go check on others in George's family. They don't realize that this is the second killing of the day by George. They do know that some shit went down in Wilkes-Barre, but they haven't connected the dots at this point. We're talking two different jurisdictions, right? They're just dealing with the cruelty of this crime, right? Like, you don't walk up to a crime scene and expect to see all of these people murdered, these children, this woman with her head gone. You don't expect to see that at 2:00 in the morning. But eventually they do put the two murder scenes together, and they realize that 2 + 2 = George. And so the police are out looking for him in Wilkes-Barre, right? They said they had a crew of police officers posted up over at the Zares. Y'all remember Zares? Am I dating myself? That is not the point. But still, why the fuck would he be at Zaire? Like, it's like 4:30, 5:30 in the morning. Okay. They was looking for George, but George was cruising. They say this nigga went somewhere and parked the car and went to sleep for a little bit, and then he got up and he made a pit stop at his mama's house. Oh, Miss Mary. He went over to Miss Mary's house one last time, and he left a note for the police. Y'all, why the fuck weren't the police at Miss Mary's house already? I don't know, but I'm dead ass serious that he left a note for him. Around 6:50 in the morning, this motherfucker left a note that says, quote, I have plenty of ammunition. Short, sweet, and to the motherfucking point, and he was dead ass. What? So even though the police are out in force, they know the addresses associated with George. They know what kind of car he should be driving. And it's early as fuck, right? And so it's not a lot of traffic out. You know what I'm saying? But they can't find George nowhere. Come to find out, George trifling ass was switching up cars. First he started out in a van. Then he switched to a green Chevy. Then he stole a red Ford, right? And so the last of the shooting, let's say that happened at like 2:30 in the morning, and the note happened around 6:30 in the morning, right? George is being able to elude the police all this time. But by the time the sun came up, they realized that this motherfucker had killed 13 people between the two crime scenes, the one in Wilkes-Barre and the one in Jenkins Township at the trailer park. 7 children. 7. 5 of them was his own seed, killed with an M16 and an AR-15. And if that ain't enough stank on this puss ass bust ass nigga. How about one of the rifles that he used to kill? It was purchased for him by one of his victim girlfriends. This one here hurt me hard, baby, because I'm from the South. We do guns and shit, and I done bought my old man all kind of guns. I have bought him an AR-15. Oh, Lord, please, Black Jesus. We actually have matching. Don't use it on me because I'm going to try to get to mine first, but that's not the point. Again, Regina Clemens, his girlfriend, bought him that gun. She bought it at a store called Sugar Man's. You know, I like that name, Sugar Man's. Hey, Sugarfoot. Again, stay on track, Renee. She bought it for him, and George turned around and used the gun on her. Ain't that some shit? Ooh, child. Baby, when the news hit that 13 people had been disconnected in quick succession over the course of, let's call it 2.5, 3 hours, baby, it was the talk of the town. And so George eventually barricades himself up in this abandoned house over on Monroe Street because at this point, he know he done fucked up. And mind you, because he was law enforcement, remember he was a CO, he knew most of the cops that was out there looking for his ass. This is a small town. Everybody know everybody type situation, right? And so it's crazy. The cops knew these kids and these women who birthed these kids. They knew George. They knew all of this shit. And now they out looking for him. They finally figure out where George is and they surround the place, right? But they ain't getting nowhere with George. George ain't studying that shit. Like, fuck y'all. I know y'all gonna try to kill me. And so now we got a standoff. And so this is dragged on. It's like, sun is good and up now. We're going into the 9 o'clock hour. And so the police, they come up with a plan to kind of try to rope-a-dope George into thinking that his family ain't dead. Let me say that for y'all again. They came up with a plan to tell this deranged killer that killed everybody in the goddamn family that they wasn't dead. That was the plan. I know. The 1982 of it all. Okay, so what they did was they convinced these same radio and news stations that had been broadcasting since daybreak that the babies and the women's was having breakfast with the lamb. That's what they've been saying, right? This is breaking news. Now they want them to say that they got it wrong. And that's what they did. They did a couple of specific, this is a small town, so it's not a lot of radio stations and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But they got the radio station to put out a broadcast that, oh, we got it wrong. They're not dead. They're not dead. They put a radio somewhere near wherever George was so that he could hear the broadcast. And then they're like, look, you hear him? It's on the radio. You hear that? They not dead. You need to come on out so we can go take you and you can go to the hospital and you can see your babies. Baby. This man took an AR and an M16 to his family. The family that's having breakfast with the lamb right now. But now you want him to believe that it didn't happen that way and that them 7 babies in actuality are still here. The praying grandmothers have got on the main line and pulled off a motherfucking miracle. All in an attempt to get George to surrender. And okay, I'm with it. I don't want him to eat a bullet. That's too motherfucking easy. I need you to answer for this fuckery here, because this is indeed fuckery of its finest. But you got to remember, this is 1982. There's no internet. It's just the radio, TV, and newspapers, right? And I told you that when this shit happened before the cock crowed, being so sensational of a story, of course, when the word got out, Everybody ran with that shit, right? Who the hell thought that they would wake up before day in the morning and a killer done killed 13 people? The shit went viral before viral was viral, right? So the local newspaper, they got to work. They put out a special edition. Turn the motherfucking presses on. Hot off the press. You know, people got the newspaper delivered in some way, somehow. George had a copy of the paper. And this is front page news. I mean, the whole damn paper on this special edition was about the senseless killing of 13 people. Everything they knew and they thought they knew was right there in black and white. So while they trying to get George to believe on the radio that the children are still alive, he's sitting here reading it. No, the fuck they ain't. It's right here in the newspaper, right? So George is a lot of things. He crazy as fuck, but right now he has got all the sense in the world, right? And so of course they bring in the negotiators, right? George had a team of their asses out there tag teaming on him. They had a man named it was Officer Dale Minnick and Officer Donald Smith and Captain John Smith. Again, all people who knew George, and they working him. All the Smiths, they bringing in everybody. It ain't working. They brought his mama out there on the scene. Miss Mary, ain't nothing you can do for George now. He caught up in some real nigga shit. Baby, you were not prepared, Miss Mary. Miss Mary, it ain't gonna happen. So they telling them to come out. Let's go to the hospital and go see your kids. Then they brought a girlfriend. How many women was this motherfucker sleeping with? She can't get him out. Girl, whoever this woman was, you probably dodged a bullet, like literally and figuratively. But kudos to you for trying to help this crazy nigga. The police, they were out there pulling out all of the stops because it was a tragic situation. And I think only because they knew George, they didn't have itchy trigger fingers. I think that's the only thing that saved him, was that they kind of viewed him as a fellow brother in blue, right? But the kicker for this whole fucking story is how a dude named Robert Brunson just walked up on the scene and was like, hey, let me try. Y'all, this dude, Robert Brunson, he was friends with George. He was the man who got George to apply at the prison for the job, right? But Robert, according to the word on the curb, he was already in some trouble already. He got fired from the prison for getting caught up in some drug shit, you know what I'm saying? And there's a picture that, I'm gonna see if I can find it again. But there's this picture, it made me laugh. This nigga Robert, because he is indeed a nigga. He outside with a Kango and some shades on and a 2-finger gold ring. It's not funny, but the juxtaposition, this man, this cool cat standing outside talking through the window, trying to talk down this man who has killed 13 people this morning, who nobody else can get to cooperate. His mama can't get him to come out. His friends in blue, they can't get him to come out. XO ladies, nobody can get him to come out of this house. But here come Robert. Your boy Robert pulled up on the scene with the gangster lean, and baby, his stance, his posture, his body language was just screaming at me what he was saying to George. Baby, Robert walked up there and was like, George, this is a quote, George, can I talk to you before you die? That's some nigga shit. If you came here to die, so be it. But let me talk to you before you do it. George, listen, man. Everybody need a crutch sometime. I'ma be yours. Man, that's some real nigga shit right there. Like, he talked to George for 45 minutes, and he was the only one that could get George to talk. Baby, that's that melanated magic at work. He finally ended up telling George that if he came out, that he would stand between him and the Flower Rangers with the guns pointed at him. Basically saying, you know, if they gonna shoot me first. I got you, man. And ultimately, they say it was Robert that got George to give himself up. And it's because he was talking to George brother to brother style. And so George would give up somewhere around 11:15 that morning. Walked out the back door and surrendered. Now let me tell y'all, at this point, what was so shocking to me about this particular moment, because I was caught up in the whole Robert talking this nigga out until I read what this nigga had on. Now he had on fatigues, and you expect that, you know, a lot of these serial killers, mass murderers, whatever you want to call them, they will be in their fatigues. So that didn't shock me or whatever. But this motherfucker had on a t-shirt, and the t-shirt said, "Kill them all and let God sort it out." After doing what you did today, you should have came out that motherfucking house shirtless. Like, what the fuck? That was a fuck you to everybody. Ooh, they should have shot the shit out of him just off GP, just for having on that goddamn shirt. Just trifling. Like, you were all disgusting ass motherfucker. You don't have a sense of remorse at all. There is no shame. Like, I think that pissed me off. This whole thing pissed me off. But the fact that you got that motherfucking shirt on, you deserve everything you gonna get. So your boy Robert, he right there every step of the way. When they put him in the back of the squad car, Robert got in the front. My nigga. And you know, that's what I mean when I say the SSS, the strong silent support. I mean, because keeping it real, killers got people that love them, people that fuck with them the long way. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know that they was fucking with a killer. But you know, instead of hooping and hollering by "Free my nigga G," just shut the fuck up and get in the front seat and ride with your boy. Just put something on this book. It don't take all that, because we not gonna free your nigga G. That nigga finna go get what's coming to his ass. Okay, so now this trifling nigga is off to cool his heels over at the county jail till it's time for him to crank up the jury. Now, originally he was charged with 5 counts of murder, but that's just originally. Of course, they went on ahead and threw the book at that ass. His trial would start on June 6th, 1983. Now, this was a small town. This is Luzerne County. And the chances of George being able to get a, air quotes, fair trial was slim to none. Everybody in the county knew him, her, kids in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I mean, in a small town, that whole 6 degrees of separation thing is real. I mean, some kind of way, somebody knew somebody related to, went to school with, babysitted for, like, to get a fair shake for him, even though everybody know you guilty, but we got to go through with the pretense of a trial to, you know, make a good effort to try to give you a fair trial. So they did have the trial in Luzerne County, but they imported a jury from outside of the county, meaning they brought people in from other places, people that weren't familiar with the victims or the killer, right? And so the state, baby, they had an all-star list of people that were willing to testify. Everybody at the trailer park was up in that bitch. Yeah, that dude James, remember him? The one that survived, the one, you know, he had a praying grandmother. He got up there on the stand and said, "Yup, that's the motherfucker that shot me with that big-ass rifle." Then there were, on the defense side, he had 3 attorneys on his dream team: Albert Flora Jr., Basil Russin, and Joseph Skarlarski. They were the defense, right? And the defense for George was insanity. This nigga is delusional and psychotic. I'm telling you, Judge, he's brain damaged. At one point, George wanted to fire everybody. You know how they get. I want to represent myself. And they let him do it a little bit. And in that time that he was representing himself, this nigga managed to fuck up his case even more. Because the real lawyers, they had gotten some of the more gory autopsy and crime scene photos thrown out. The jury don't need to see that. That's gonna inflame the situation. It's prejudicial. And so they got them thrown out. This nigga get up here and argued to get the motherfucking shit put back in. Like, sir, what the fuck is you doing? And the reason he wanted the crime scene photos and the autopsy photos that showed how those bullets tore through his children and the women he claimed to love, their bodies. The reason he wanted those pictures to be put back into evidence was so that he could prove that the police did all that, not him. Yeah, let's move on. Now, the defense, they had a few character witnesses and George's mama. I'm sorry, Miss Mary. Your Salt Gang membership does not extend to George in situations like this. So, Miss Mary, you can go on ahead and weep and tell Martha to get the moaning. Because I don't care what you say. Shit's not going to work out the way you want it to. Now, most times we talk about court, the mayhem makers, they don't go nowhere near the stand. They don't want to say shit. But, bro man from the fifth floor, he was like, nah, I got some shit I want to say. Something I want to get out my chest. This nigga got up in court, right hand held high, and said some of the most niggerish shit I've ever heard in a court of law in my life. This motherfucker said, I did shoot him. I shot him. That's all I did, though. I just shot him. We talking flesh wounds. The police, they the motherfuckers that went behind me and they killed everybody. You could hear a rat piss on cotton in the motherfucking courtroom. The lawyer was like, look, see? I told y'all this nigga was crazy. He need help. Don't kill him. Don't fry him up. The jury, however, was like, fuck all that shit you talking about. That nigga did that shit, and crazy or not, his ass is guilty. They found him guilty on 12 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of third-degree murder, attempted murder, aggravated assault, robbery, theft, endangering the life of another, and a partridge in a pear tree. Baby, I told you they threw the book at it, right? And so on June 22nd, 1983, the jury shook that magic 8-ball and the screen said, finish him. And did. Zip, zap, zip, the zippity zip zap, the zappity zip zap. We finna fry your ass. Disconnect notice for that ass. Nigga, you got to go. You can't stay here no more. You done killed up 5 snow bunnies and their babies. Unacceptable. So off to prison he goes, and he's waiting for that disconnect notice to come around. But here's the thing. When he got to the prison, shit wasn't gravy for the former CO turned inmate. It wasn't good for him at all. He was used to being on the outside of the prison, and now he on the inside of the prison. And not only on the inside of the prison, you on the death row side of the prison, right? They say George tried to disconnect himself by hanging in his cell a couple of times. One happened on March 26, 1984, but that particular time, a CO pulled up on him as he was doing it, fucked up his plan, right? But that didn't take that time. He tried and tried again, and each attempt was also unsuccessful in the fact that he was still here. But it did get him a trip to the psych hospital for a few months. But then they sent his ass back to death row. Because we don't care if you don't get your cheese back on your crackle. We gonna kill your ass. But y'all know, death penalty cases, they come with automatic appeals. And so as the appeal process went around the court system, the court noped on their asses every single time. Can he get out? Nope. Can we appeal? Nope. Can you please not kill him? Nope. Can you give him life? Nope. Baby, I don't care what you ask. The answer is no. We going to kill his ass. And The lawyers, for their, sake, they were really trying to press that you're really not supposed to disconnect a crazy man, because y'all know this nigga is really crazy. And as time passed, as he was in prison, he only got crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier and more delusional and more delusional and more delusional. So eventually, we talking maybe 10, 12, or 13 years into his sentence, they did eventually take fricasseeing his ass off the table. And of course, crazy ass George, he said the reason they took it off the table, it wasn't him, it wasn't nothing but God. Look at him, crazy. Don't you go bringing Black Jesus into this foolishness. He ain't had nothing to do with this, nothing at all. George Emil Banks was inmate AY6066 at the Greaterford Maximum Security Facility in Montgomery County. That's about 30 miles west of Philadelphia. Now, he spent decades on death row. And so long that they closed the prison that he was in. They closed it down and built another one. And they transferred him over to the new one. And that is where George would spend the rest of his days. He would eventually go on to die a natural death in November of 2025. That was just last year. Old George died of kidney cancer. And that, New War Nation, is the story of George Emil Banks, someone who did a mass shooting in Pennsylvania and went down in history as the deadliest massacre since the 1800s. And I got to tell you, in the 1800s, what happened was some coal miners or something went on strike, and as they were striking and trying to march, the cops shot the shit out their asses. And yeah, it was crazy. But again, George killed his entire family. And I just don't understand, why would a man murder his own children? Like, it makes no sense. Why would a man massacre the people he claimed to love? If you were sleeping with 4 women at the same time, you proclaiming your love to the mountains. You know what I'm saying? To get everybody to play nice, you got to. And then you're going to turn around and kill them? Now, George said the entire time that his reason for doing what he did was because of the childhood racism that he experienced. And he really thought that his biracial children needed to be saved. It doesn't make sense. And sometimes my cheese slide off my cracker a little bit too. So I won't try to pass judgment on anybody. But I gotta say, George did not keep his views to himself. He talked about wanting to end his kid's life at work. So you can't tell me he wasn't talking about that shit at home. Around these kids, mama, around these kids. Sometimes you got to be strong enough to love yourself more than you love a toxic relationship. My heart goes out to all of these women and all of these children who got caught up in George's delusions. I mean, I know, again, this podcast is happening in 2026, and I'm looking at it, Monday morning quarterbacking. I was around in the 80s, and I know that mental health was stigmatized. It was not something that was talked about, and a lot of people went through a lot of shit. I really would love to know if I could, peek back into time, I guess, to see how George grew up, the things that he experienced, because how bad did it have to be for him to think that the only way his children could get through it was to not get through it? Like, God damn. It boggles my mind. But again, George was mentally not all there. And it was no secret. Everybody knew it there was just no tools in place to try to head this off at the path. Because according to his coworkers, George was always at the job talking about how the race wars were going to start and white people was going to start killing black people and biracial children would be targeted and, his own children was going to suffer and be on the first ones that get mowed down, you know what I'm saying, by the angry whites. And he not only talked about the race war, but he went into detail about how he really thought that killing his kids was the only way that he could spare them for that future. Where the fuck was DFAX? Like, somebody should have made a phone call. I just don't get it. This is a horrible, horrible story. But somebody, I don't know who need to hear this, but mean drunks who are mentally challenged, it can be fatal. Like, and they can kill and get away with it because they're crazy. They're mentally challenged. They're mentally disabled. They have a whole slew of mental issues that prevent them from thinking clearly. Some are actually diagnosed and some are not, but when it's visible like this, we got to be strong enough to love ourselves more, to be able to walk away, to, I don't know, the whole 1982 of it all. The whole 1982 of it all. But racism sucks because it fucked this man's head up. I really do want to know what the fuck he went through as a child in the 40s and 50s. Like, how bad was it? So that he literally thought the only way to make it right was to kill his kids. But then again, not thinking clearly, because if you think it's so bad as a biracial person, don't make no more biracial children. You ain't go over there to Doris' house to them little 2 chocolate kisses and try to do nothing with them. Anyway, y'all, let's talk about this shit on social media. Y'all know how to get at me. I am Melanin Mayhem Podcast on everywhere except for X, where I am Melanin Mayhem PC. If email is more your ministry, you can hit me up at melaninmayhempodcast@gmail.com. We have a fabulous social media group, y'all. I always forget to talk about it. The Melanin Mayhem Podcast discussion group. You can join us over on Facebook, and we will let you in after you answer a few questions, strictly about, making sure you know policy, nothing crazy. Although I guess I should put some crazy questions up there. Although most times don't nobody answer the questions anyway. I don't care. We always have the doors of the church open. We say, come on in, baby, come on in. Don't forget also to subscribe to the Melanin Mayhem original story series. You can reach me over there at melaninmayhempodcast.supercast.com. I am so crazy tonight, y'all. My mind is going 100 million ways because I still want to know how they was able to have this house full of women who's sleeping with George. Like, so many questions. All these people is gone. Nobody can answer these questions for me, but I'm gonna be up because another thing that, oh my God, I almost let this go, y'all. This story. Y'all know our mayhem maker, his name was George Emil Banks, but neither his mother nor his father was named Banks. So how the fuck did he get that name? Who the fuck was the Banks? I don't get it. So maybe Miss Mary got married and maybe she was a Banks when she was fucking around with Mr. Mac. I don't know. It's crazy. I don't understand how and why and things that we will never, ever, ever have the answer to. Let me get on up out of here because, baby, I got something to do in the morning. I got a little job or something or whatever that they want me to be at. My podcast hasn't retired me yet. So, this week's New Orleans Nation shout out goes to one of my favorite listeners. When I say down like 4 flats, y'all, Mr. C, baby, he don't play by me. Is there a Mrs. C? Hey, Mrs. C, thank you for sharing your Mr. C with me, because, baby, Mr. C will leave me a review, but this week he said something about that country twang in my ear makes my morning start off right, even if the subject is foolishness and fuckery. Come on with it, Mr. C. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Ew. Hey, Mr. C, thank you so much for listening, baby. Mr. C be right there. I have a comment from him all the time. He is a down like Four Flats member of the New War Nation, and you too can be down like Four Flats if you were a visitor today. I'm telling you, baby, it gets wild over here sometimes. Please and thank you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe before we get up out of here. I really need that. Thank you. And also, don't forget to share the country girl. Tell everybody about me. Put me in the group chat, baby. Don't be stingy with your love. All right, y'all. I'm going to get in here and clean this up just a little bit because I had a tickle in my throat in a couple of spots. And this is coughing I need to take out because you really don't need your speakers to be busted because I'm in this mug coughing or whatever. You know, when we close the doors of the church, you know, I have to tell you to please be safe and stay ever vigilant. And if you don't remember nothing else from this episode, remember this: if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. It is one love, New War Nation, and your favorite country girl is out of here.
Ooh wee, Nana, you did that. Wow.